Defiance Season 3, Episode 11 of The Demon in My View. Now, this is one of those episodes where it really sucks being late to seeing it because it's such a great one, but at the same time, I don't have to wait as long for the next episode. But this one was really, really cool. I was very surprised by everything that took place. Like, when I saw the preview, I guess 2 weeks ago now, I wasn't expecting it to be involved with the main characters. I didn't think it would be, I guess filler would be a bad word for it. I thought it was going to be something very different though. Like somehow Nolan was taken by something else, and especially the way they kind of showed, and it seemed like he was just sucked up into the air. But I love the way that it tied in and it led everything back to Defiance, which obviously it's the show. That's kind of what it should do. But I was surprised by the way that they pulled this one off, and it's like this whole thing happens. The convoy gets taken down, which was a pretty cool scene. They they blow up the truck and they have like a real explosion. Like they really blew up that truck and flipped that car. And it's like, we need to put like some fake dummies in here because we're gonna kill whoever's on the inside. Because those things, when the explosion goes off, if you watch it, you can see like at one point, I think it was the dummy that was supposed to be Nolan. That thing flipped and like went through the window that the camera was actually looking at, and it was like, man, that thing just really blew up and flipped up and everything. It wasn't like, oh, it's a little explosion and people just duck. It was like they really blew it up, and they're like, we're gonna need like some dummies in here to blow this thing up. But I love that scene, and seeing Berlin come back, I thought was pretty cool. And we actually find out that she's decided she's gonna help the city, like ever since she found out what happened with Nolan and him shooting the vice chancellor. That's when she decided to come back showing to help Amanda, and so she's going to be back in the town. She is still with the guy, but he knows that she kind of has her duties and that she wants to help the people that she's been with for quite some time now. So it's good to see Berlin come back. It's not exactly any sort of animosity between Berlin and Amanda. There was like a little bit when she first came in and Amanda was like, did he leave you? But they kind of worked things out in this episode, and it was fairly subtle. It was just like, I couldn't have basically burned these bodies and saved Defiance if it weren't, for you telling me and helping me do this. And it's like, I'm here to help. That's all there is to it. So I love that. I also like the fact that the story did kind of transition. Like Amanda was the one that had to come up with this new plan that Arissa and Berlin didn't even think of, which is, if you guys are able to find out that it was the Omec that did this, then a giant group of people coming in, someone's going to be able to figure that out too, and they're going to think that because, of course, we're working with the Omec, that I asked the Omec to save Nolan, and that I'm supporting the Omec destroying a Votanus collective convoy holding a criminal. So I actually love the fact that she thought of that, I think that was basically like 45 minutes into the episode or something, and it's like, oh yeah, I guess that's true. If they could figure it out, then why wouldn't a giant group of people be able to figure it out? So I love that idea where it was like she was told and she instantly knew, like, we need to do this because we're gonna just be in another war again. Defiance fighting against the VC, and this time it will be the actual VC. So I love that concept of it. Of course, Arissa being connected to Nolan and now being separated because Nolan had the Architect removed. I thought that was pretty interesting, and I don't know if it's going to lead to Arissa having it removed or if they're going to kind of mess around with that and it won't get removed until it needs to, because she'll have issues maybe like Nolan did. But we got to see that Nolan has it removed, so he's no longer going to be dealing with, all that craziness. But he's still technically a fugitive. Like, they know what happened. The news reached Berlin. It's reached all over the place. Things are going to happen. Like, I don't know how they're going to play that out, how he's going to stay in Defiance and really hide, but it should be interesting to see him have to hide within the city. And, the supporters or non-supporters that are going to be in Defiance itself, everyone knows what happened to him. So, even the people within the town are going to be, I can't really say enemies because obviously he's the one that did something bad, even though he was going crazy, but they're going to be obstacles, at least, because not everyone's going to be like, oh, Architect, no big deal. It's just going to be Nolan went crazy and shot this woman, and now we're going to have a big issue, so let's, turn him in. So I'm sure that's going to come up, maybe not in the next episode, but probably the one afterwards, because, of course, by the end of this episode, we actually lose Tefkin as a character, which really sucked. I like Tefkin a lot. And it made sense. It was like, if they did kill Kindzie off, then they wouldn't have a villain at this point. And so it made sense. And that was one of the things I was kind of wondering throughout the season, ever since they did start having their fights. It's like, I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen because, it seemed like everything was over with Kindzie when she was sent up. And then, she gets brought back down. And it's like, I don't know now because it's back and forth. Like, we have one good, one bad. They defeated the main villain, at least the first main villain. So now it's just like, things are happening. It's still interesting without a villain because we still have the crazy Nolan stuff going down and the whole VC thing. But now it's like we lost Tefkin in this one, and he did the fatherly thing. He got tricked by his daughter saying, "I'll do whatever you want," and then he gets stabbed and killed. And not only that, but we get a pretty cool flashback, which is very interesting. That shows them in, I believe it was like 1978, like Earth year 1978. And they, for some reason, even though it was the 70s, I guess, actually I do know why that happened. It's because it's supposed to be like radio signals when they go out. It's like however many light years away, that's how long ago the signal is. So if they heard it almost 20 light years away, it would be 1958 instead of 1978 music that they actually heard. And I only know that because of Futurama, so that could also be wrong. But, they hear the Rockin' Robin song and stuff, and they have, like, the weird little thing where they, like, stick their tongues out. I thought that was actually kind of cool. Like, I wish they did that a little bit more, but it was just, like, a little thing they had. But it made sense. It was actually kind of cool to see them have that, where that was, like, the initial excitement, and, they have this moment where they're cheering, and they, like, and stuff like that, and it was just really funny. And then, of course, it transitions to now, where she's doing this little ritual, and she eats his heart at the end, which is like, I can't think of what culture that's from, but that's like a thing where it's like, you eat your heart, you get the power of your enemies and stuff like that. But she's actually gonna get his strength for real, I would assume. Or maybe it's just once again just a ritual thing, and it doesn't actually give her more strength. But seemingly she's gonna actually be way more powerful than she was before, and that's not really good because Kindzie's obviously the evil one. And then she goes up to the ship. She wakes everyone up. One of which is totally the guy that played Tefkin. It was him. I don't know. So I don't know if they're gonna actually have the actor come back as a different person, and they maybe were brothers or something like that. Who knows? But it was definitely the same guy. Like he was the second person that showed. The first person was someone new. But he could still be in the show, the actor at least, but it's not going to be Tefkin. It's not going to be like, oh, it's the guy who's trying to help, blend the Omec culture with Earth. It's going to be, the actor playing someone who wants to destroy Earth and rule as the Omec. But I'm really excited to see all the Omec come down. It's happened much faster. I was definitely expecting this to happen in the next season. I figured Tefkin and Kindzie, especially Tefkin, would be a series regular for this season, and then next season they would have all the crazy issues and stuff. But they defeated Ramtak already, so it's like that villain's gone, and now we have Kindzie and the rest of the Omec. We have Doc, who we found out at the end has actually been knocking out a bunch of different people. So she gets Daytak. He's been knocked out, which was super fast. I thought it would be like typical TV stuff where it's like, oh man, like, what did you do to me and stuff. It was just like, make sure, and then he just passed out, and it was instantaneous. So I was actually kind of laughing at it because it was such a fast reaction. But we found out at the end that she's actually been taking several different people, which I didn't expect at all. So they have like a kennel basically of different races and stuff, or species I should say, and it's like just lunchtime. Like they can go in and just eat people when they first get there, and the doc is still under complete mind control. We still don't know what happened with the vet. I don't know if she was cleaning up his blood and he was the one that died and she killed him, or if he was actually in there, because they didn't take the time to show like, oh, he's talking to Daytak or whatever, and because he wouldn't really know that he's still alive. But I'm not sure. She's scrubbing blood of somebody. It could have also just been Nolan, although it didn't seem like he had any blood on him or anything like that. So I'm not 100% sure what body that was, and once again, with the ending, I guess it could have just been anyone, and she may have cut someone or something before she was able to knock them out. But they have like a little kennel now. Kindie's going to be coming down with all her people. They had a little scene in the preview where she was actually talking to a younger Omec. So we'll see how all that craziness plays out, but I'm really excited. I definitely enjoyed this episode. It does suck to see Tefkin go, really, and him getting killed off, but it was definitely fun to watch. The stuff that they actually had with Stama was pretty cool too, because she's talking with her servant, whose name I definitely can't remember right now. But I've loved this girl's character. Like, it seemed like maybe this entire season she was really coming into her own. Like, she was saying things that most other house servants wouldn't have really said, and she, like, gets a gun from Daytak in this episode, and she's talking about how, she could marry into the family one day, maybe convince Alak to marry her by whispering in his ear, and she could bring the baby in secret and stuff like that. And she's really bonding with Stama and kind of turning into her a little bit with that line that she gave. I never thought that until this episode, but that was definitely sort of a Stama thing to say, like, maybe if I whisper in his ear a bit, I can convince him, to let me join into the family. But I've loved her character for a long time, because she's had little moments where she would speak out and kind of say things she's not really supposed to say. And I've definitely enjoyed that. So it was a great moment in this episode as well, where she really bonded with Stama. And it's like, maybe I'll be joining into the family at some point, and we'll kind of drink tea as equals and stuff like that. So I thought it was a really cool moment for her character, which I wish I could remember her name, because it was actually a fairly important moment. But I've definitely enjoyed the little hints that they've given for her as far as developing from just this girl they kind of just saved in the last season to being this person who isn't just a house servant. She's kind of coming into her own and breaking away a little bit from the typical servant traditions that their culture holds. So I've really enjoyed watching her character kind of grow and develop. But I'm excited for what we're going to get next week, or I guess I should say this week. And I think one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to is what's going to happen with the Omec. And of course, I don't know how long the doc is going to be under mind control, and I don't know who's going to figure it out, or how it's going to be figured out, or anything like that. Like, it's just, someone runs into her this episode, they get knocked out. Any other episode, they kind of just get told to leave, and she's able to, she gets kind of locked up by the device where she can't even say stuff unintentionally. So I'm not sure how long she's going to be under mind control, but it's exciting to see her be stuck in this position, because she's obviously sarcastic and stuff, but she's no villain. And so she's just trapped in in this weird position where it's like, I want to tell someone, but I just can't. Like, I'm either going to end up fighting someone, like, to the death, possibly. I highly doubt they'll kill her off. Or, I'm just going to end up knocking out everybody I run into. And, it should be interesting. But I'm excited for the Omec coming into the town. The stuff with Nolan and them having to still technically deal with all the VC stuff. They might just let it go where it's like, oh, well, convoy was attacked, they're dead, and stuff like that. Or they're going to be like, well, maybe we ought to check Defiance anyway, and the VC still comes into the town to look for Nolan. But we'll just have to wait and see. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And of course, I do have to ask you guys, is the big question for this episode, what do you guys think of us losing Tefkin and, only having Kindzie and the rest of the Omec, who we have to kind of assume are all going to be in the same mindset as Kindzie, where they didn't see Earth and they don't give a crap. It's like, we're Omec, let's eat the lesser races. So I want to know what you guys thought about us losing Tefkin in this episode, because it surprised me. Until the very end, I was just like, I really hope this doesn't go the way I think it will. But unfortunately, it definitely did. And I was surprised he even won the fight. I thought he was going to lose the fight in general. And when he did flip her over and he was talking, I thought he was going to say, like, you failed me and this and that. And I thought he would kill her himself. And then it's like, nope, he let her go and she turned around and stabbed him right in the neck. But it is what it is now, and we're just going to have to see it. But like I said, I want to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below, let me know. And thanks for watching.